talking about champions, let's get into the main event, the welterweight championship fight. Belal Muhammad versus Della Maddalena. What a fight. This fight was awesome. Great action. I was very impressed with Jack's striking, right? They kept talking about his head movement, but just how sharp he was. The striking, how versed, how composed he was, his takedown defense, and the heart, the determination, the grit, the non-stop from Belal. I mean, what an incredible final round. I thought that's what it came down to. Going into the fifth, who wins this round wins the fight, although Jack did seem like he was a little bit more in control for the most part. We get a phenomenal finish in the end. We have a new champion by unanimous decision. I was a little surprised by the 49-46, but I thought the right guy got it. What'd you think of this fight? What'd you think of the decision?
I thought you set it up just, well, hopefully, I know how to play T-ball, right? I could just hit it off to, Rich. He sets it up. I don't have to go searching for the ball. Just hit it off the damn stand. That's all I'm supposed to do. And I think the decision was right. I thought, especially in that last round, I just thought Maddalena landed the more damaging punches, the bigger punches, the punches that not only got your attention, got Muhammad's attention, and are just more impactful. That's a big part of it. I thought it was a great fight. I didn't agree with that one judge that had it that far apart. I thought it was tighter. I get it. There's certain rounds where even if it's tight, you could slant it towards somebody for something and you wind up getting a score like that. But at the end of the day, I thought they got it right. Jack Di Maddalena, he's taller, he's longer. I always talk about geography. Who uses the geography in the cage, the ring, whatever, that makes the most sense for their talents, where their talents can be used, to the utmost. And I thought for the most part, not the whole fight, but for the most part, Di Maddalena did a good job with that. Also, I think, I don't know if this did show, but 8-year difference. 8-year difference. Muhammad is 36. Maddalena is 28. The younger guy did win the last round. Did youth raise his head a little bit in that last round? A little bit? 36 versus 28? Maybe. Maybe not. At the end of the day, I'll tell you who kept their heads up, both of them. Proud. Muhammad, as the champion, not wanting to relinquish that. I thought it was very interesting, very strategic in a brutal fight. Very strategic. I mean, Muhammad had to close the gap. And I saw him close the gap. He brought his legs with him. He did it with a jab. He closed the gap, and he was able to strike and score with right hands. He was able to score. There were spots where he was really the guy with the edge. I don't think it should be an argument on striking was Di Maddalena. And I don't think that should have been a shot going in. He was the guy who was just more verse at striking, especially striking on the outside and using his length and his height for the most part pretty damn well. And that was an advantage for him. And he used it enough. He used it enough to give him an edge in a tight fight. But Muhammad did what he had to do. He closed the gap. He brought his legs. He got a little closer. And he was effective in his strike. There were two striking games. The long-distance striking game and the tighter striking game. The striking game that starts to get into the close quarters with straight punches, accurate punches. But by being in a geography you need to be to to able to have success with a longer guy. Muhammad had to do that. He did it. I appreciate, as a boxing guy, I appreciated the moments that he did that. What it took to do that. A calmness, a cerebralness to know that he had to do that, and a technique to do it properly. But on the larger hand, Della Maddalena was able to control the geography on the outside. They gave him a little edge. They mixed it up really well. And I think this was another one of those fights that makes you, I don't know if it makes you scratch your head, but it makes you think nothing is automatic in life or in MMA or UFC or anything. And what do I mean? You can't assume anything. A lot of people would assume that Muhammad would look to take him to the floor most of the fight. But I was talking to Zone before the fight, and I said, these guys are so proud. First of all, Muhammad's striking game is not bad. Muhammad's striking game is better than maybe a lot of people thought going in, because they were all thinking about the striking game of Maddalena, which is pretty damn good. But I felt that one guy was saying it's going to be on the mat. You know, Muhammad's going to be on the mat. He's going to be looking to take him to the floor. And I was like, you know what? You probably know more about it than me from that standpoint. But my feeling is that Muhammad's going to strike with him. These guys are so proud. It's almost like they don't want to make a concession. As surprising as it might be, that Muhammad would look to strike more than you would think his advantages, his natural advantages, would tend him to want to strike. Because you would, if you went just by the advantages he has physically and, of course, as far as his talent, it's to go to the floor. But these guys, I noticed that a lot of these guys, they have so much pride that it's almost like they don't want to make a concession that, you know, I had to take you to my strength. I'll beat you at your strength. Like, I'll be, and he's a good striker anyway, Muhammad, don't get me wrong. But to me, it's almost, I've seen it with them. I seen it a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember what fight it was, but in an UFC fight, where, again, you would think the guy has the edge on the floor, and he goes and fights the other guy's fight, if you will, and fights his strengths, if you will, and strikes, and a lot of times wins. And I just thought that Muhammad, again, whether it's pride, whether it's just that he believes in his striking, obviously, but that he went to the other guy's game more than some people might have expected him to do, and didn't go for the takedowns quite as much. Now, part of the credit is Maddalena, is that Della Maddalena was good with his takedown defense. He was really good. His takedown defense was top-notch. And finally, Muhammad, I think it was the fourth round, he finally got a takedown. But I just didn't see the strategy. And look, a lot of that has to do with Della Maddalena fighting the kind of fight that didn't allow him to feel comfortable getting the takedowns, because he controlled range and his takedown defense was that good. At the end of the day, I thought the big part of the fight was Muhammad was kind of forced and chose, if there's such a thing, that he was forced and also chose on his own to fight Della Maddalena's fight with the striking. And I thought when he got close, he did a damn good job. But I thought the edge was to Della Maddalena. I thought, again, to what you said, the last round kind of cemented it. He just landed the bigger, more damaging punches to take the belt from Muhammad. It was a good fight. It was just an exciting fight. And with all the explosive parts to it, with the knees, with the kicks, they mixed it up really well. I thought the strategy shouldn't be missed. How definitive the strategy and how at play the strategy of both guys was involved in this fight.